But what I can do as well, actually, I'm sure this will fetch... Actually, I don't know if it'll fetch a decent price, but screw it, it's sellable anyway, and it's just something for aesthetic reasons. So that's given me some stools, some chairs, pumpkin. I should place my woodworking table back down somewhere, just for fun. That'll do. Oh, you can see over here, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is a beehive box. And over here are some birdhouses. They will provide a constant supply of wax, honeycomb, and canary eggs for me, which is going to be incredibly useful when I get into baking. I would say having about 4 or 5 of each is probably the most you're ever going to need. Chop my way up to a few more potatoes here. There's a reason why I gave people 15 days in this level to make the best town they could. And that's because it is a little bit more slow going, knowing that you've got to wait for a certain crop, like in this case pumpkins, before you can progress to getting something else. And even with all this going on, I still have very, very limited iron. So it's not a difficult map to get a whole bunch of different farms going on in, but it is difficult to make things like swords. Up here we've got a little bit more going on while I'm waiting for my farms to grow. I'll head up here, grab a few more things. Pumpkins are actually worth more than any other vegetable, so it's worth grabbing as many as you can. And fingers crossed there'll be some more silver up here, because it is an absolutely great way to get some early cash very quickly. So from what I understand from some of the YouTube comments and from what I've been reading, doing some Let's Plays and things like this is a very appreciated thing amongst the YouTube community. And it does seem like we get a fair few questions about this game. Usually it's things along the lines of, how do I make a shop, or how do I craft this or that item? And some of them are actually very, very fair questions or interesting bugs and glitches, but my brother Rowan and I have not stopped working on the game. We released it first of all in Australia only at PAX. They did a PAX Australia for the very first time last year, and we launched it down here and in New Zealand by having it at the PAX show, put it on sale, and then a few months later we released it to the rest of the world. And we are now in the closing few weeks of getting our iPhone version done. Hello, merchant. What do we got here? Berries, tool bits, short poles, and long poles, and gold. Alright, cool. Well, I know I've got some silver right next to my my town, so I can get rid of all my silver without too much of an issue. I've already got berries growing, so I can leave that. I'll sell my pico lantern, my chairs, and they're out of money. I made a point of making everyone in this map a little bit poor. It makes it a tricky map to really excel in, because there's a finite number of resources, and no one seems to have a great deal of cash. So what you end up doing is selling as much as you can, buying as much as you can, and then selling as much as you can again. So I'll get rid of the stools and the chair, and that'll give me enough to get some of that gold. I've already got a furnace. It's a good, quick way to make a little bit of money. Just smelt the gold down into anything smaller, some rings, or if you've got some twine, turn those rings with some twine into a necklace. Although, actually, that's a horrible piece of advice. On this level, I would just avoid trying to get a gold necklace, because no one's going to be able to afford it. Rings are great because they're valuable, but they come in very small denominations, so get 4 gold rings for 1 piece of gold. So let's grab a couple of those and a gold crown. It's worth keeping a variety of things going. If you sell too many gold rings, they will go down in value. And the same goes for everything else. What else we got? Grapes, berries, I've got both. Thank you very much. The nerve. The cheek. Some rings. And I'm back in the money. So in this map, it's a pretty good idea, up until you've got a whole bunch of your own resources coming at you, it's a pretty good idea to try and sell to as many merchants as humanly possible. Anyone who passes by, just stop off and sell whatever you've got going. That can be farmland stuff originally. Speaking of farms, wooden poles, grab a few of those, and with the tool bits I just created, I've now got enough for 17 bits of fence. I'll use 10 of those up here on the pumpkins. And what that does is it puts tilled dirt under there, and it's going to make those things grow a lot faster. And since pumpkins take longer to grow than anything else, that seems like a solid place to put them. Now I'm wondering, I think it might be about time. I'm going to give this guy a job. Lumberjack. Go forth, ye mighty, and conquer. Now here's another neat little trick which we added kind of for humor value, which I can't do yet until I trade for some iron bands. We decided we wanted to put a sundial in, and then my brother suggested, well, why don't we make the sundial a portable one that you wear on your wrist? And I said, that's stupid. That makes no sense whatsoever. Then we paused and laughed for a second and then said, yeah, let's do it. We ended up doing some rather interesting things. Oh, I say interesting. Silly is probably a better word. For instance, did you know you can plant pizzas? Go ahead, try it. Seriously. So in any case, what I was about to show, which I guess I won't be able to do because I lack the iron bands, is that if you get some iron tool bits and some iron bands and mix them together, you'll get the sundial. And what that does is puts a permanent time of day counter in the bottom right hand so that you know what time of day it is, which is useful for a few reasons. Probably the most important one is that when it goes from nighttime to sunrise, that's when your employees all get paid. Whether you have the money or not, that's when the money will have to go to them, and if it doesn't, for any reason, then they will just walk out. We wanted to make it so the game didn't have an easy way to lose, per se. You know, we didn't want you to get a game over screen or anything. We wanted the game to be a little bit more relaxing than that. We didn't like the sort of high-pressure types of games. But what we did do was make it that if you kind of overreached and you had too many peasants and they started leaving you, all of a sudden you might find that your economy's broken. So it's all well and good to pay someone a couple of gold per day to be your local shopkeeper or tavern keeper, but if you don't have enough goods to keep the shop with plenty to sell, you might be in trouble. And the same thing with the tavern. So you really need all the infrastructure to be there to make it work. There we go. I forgot I did that. Some iron. Some raw iron that I can turn into whatever I like. Chuck it in the furnace. Grab some of those iron bands. Iron tool bits. Meet iron bands. Grab a sundial. Yeah. So anyway, I will leave it there. But this is A Dark Dark Wood. It's the second of the challenge maps that I've created. The next one, which is about to be released, although it might actually be up there in the latest update by the time this goes up on YouTube. The next one's going to be Desert Island, which, as the name suggests, puts you on a tropical island with nothing but palm trees and coconuts. Bit of a radical departure from medieval forests, I'll grant you, but, well, we have giant pyramid-shaped trees, so we're clearly not going for ultimate realism. Anyway, thanks for watching, and enjoy yourselves playing Towncraft.